Loving greetings to you, my friends, on this Tuesday of Holy Week, each day to remember something in the final days of Jesus' life. Today to remember his washing his disciples' feet, and a part of that story after their feet have been washed. Here's a bit more to that story. After this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and declared, "Very truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he was speaking. One of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So while reclining next to Jesus, he asked him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." So when he had dipped the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. After he received the piece of bread, Satan entered into Judas. Jesus said to him, "Do quickly what you're going to do." Now no one at the table knew why he said this to him. Some thought that because Judas had the common purse, Jesus was telling him, "Buy what we need for the festival," or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the piece of bread, he immediately went out. And then the last sentence of that verse, "And it was night." Remembering that light and darkness are such important themes and comments and words of Jesus in the Gospel of John. And for John to declare that whenever Judas goes out, it is night. John seems to be telling us that Judas is so caught up in the darkness, that Judas is captivated by sin and death. He is a part of the darkness that will lead to the death, to the suffering of Jesus. Judas, his betrayal of Jesus. I think about that on this day, and oftentimes Judas's betrayal is remembered on this Tuesday. It's amazing to me that Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him, and yet Jesus still washed his feet. Jesus still fed Judas that holy meal and shared it with him. For that matter, we can assume that Jesus knew, and he speaks of it, that Simon Peter would betray him, not betray him, would deny him. And yet he washed Peter's feet, and he gave to Peter food from that table, his body and blood. Isn't it amazing that Jesus fed the very people who would deny and betray him, that he washed the feet of Peter, and he washed the feet of even the one who would hand him over, Judas. It's just amazing. But as a great preacher of a previous generation named Carlisle Marney was once recorded as saying, "I'm so glad that Judas was at that table, and I'm so thankful that Jesus was willing to feed him and to wash his feet. Because if Jesus had not allowed Judas to be at that table, then I couldn't be there either," said Carlisle Marney. And it's true. If Jesus had not washed the feet of Peter and Judas, had not fed them his holy meal, I, Randy Cooper, couldn't be a part of his community of faith. And my suspicion, my guess is that you could not either. Thanks be to God for such grace. Let us encourage each other.